We are live. Welcome into the World Series edition of the Bullpen Podcast. I am your host, Chris Krogman, at Shy Bears 1985, and I am joined in by Adam Kunos, the man, the myth, the legend, at Kunos19. We, the Bullpen Podcast, are sponsored by Fanatics. Head on over to Fanatics to get all of your baseball gear, including World Series apparel. Adam, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. We were talking before the show. Me and my wife are getting ready for a trip over to Europe in about 14 days. So once the series wraps up, we do our recap show. We're going to be mostly focusing on a trip over to Europe for about 15, 16 days out of the country. So we're definitely looking forward to it.
Very nice, very nice. That should be a good time. I've never been over to the Europe or out of the country outside of Mexico, which that doesn't really count because
this will be our second time out of the country. We did a trip to Japan back in 2018 for her 30th birthday. So this will be our we went and we were 2 days in Canada this past year before we went on our Alaska cruise. So this will be our third time out of the country, fourth country at the end of this trip that we'll have visited.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Sounds fun. Baseball. What's going on around the world of the baseball?
Well, besides the World Series, which is underway right now, we did have two teams fill manager voids, and I am happy to announce that, not sure if White Sox fans agree with me, but the White Sox did fill their manager void. They hired Pedro Grufo. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Bench coach from the Royals. He'll be coming over to be the next manager of the White Sox. This will be his first first head manager job in his career. So he comes over, takes over a very young, talented White Sox squad. And he has the pressure of now winning right off the bat because as the White Sox were a preseason favorite this year to win not only the AL Central but possibly the pennant, go to the World Series. The pressure of winning kind of just falls to him on his first year. They also bring on Charlie Montoya, former Blue Jays manager, as the next bench coach. So they'll be bringing on him. And then Ethan Katz will return as the pitching coach for the White Sox. So they are going to be shaking up the coaching staff for a while on the White Sox. They'll have new first and third base coaches. So they're kind of shaking up the entire coaching staff for the South Side. And going over to the Royals, Matt Cataro, former bench coach from the Rays, will be coming over to fill in the Royals vacancy. So he'll take over as the next Royals manager. Also his first managing gig in MLB. So the White Sox and Royals do fill manager void. So as of right now, we have no teams looking for managers heading into the offseason, potentially at the end of this week with the World Series.
What's the latest you've ever seen a manager get fired and replaced?
The latest, I'll go back to when we had the fallout from the Astros Gene scandal back at the start of it was going into the 2020 season actually, when when you had the Astros, Red Sox, and Mets can their managers from the fallout from the Astros scandal.
That's right. Because Beltran got fired and Cora, right? Alex Cora
got fired, and I can't remember the name of the Astros manager at the time.
Damn. But right.
Yeah, that's the latest I've seen a manager get fired going into the preseason, going into spring training. So,
well, other than cheating related, like I guess I can't really imagine. I can't imagine a team firing their manager like now, like after the World Series, like during the World Series or after the World Series. So, I mean, currently we don't have anybody that's, has a vacancy, but I can't imagine we would before next spring.
No, you would like to see all the manager vacancies be filled probably before Christmas going into 2023. So that way they give them time to set up their coaching staff, kind of set their philosophy with how they're going to manage the team going into next season, and just kind of get their bearings down, communicate with players. Because I'm sure once the managers are hired, they're texting back and forth with players, trying to get a feel for clubhouse, talking with GMs about moves they want to see made, what they would like to see brought in. So it'll be interesting to see what the Royals and White Sox do going into next season.
Who do you think is the next manager on the hot seat?
Next manager on the hot seat. I'll go with I'm trying to think. Maybe Aaron Boone in New York, just for if he can. I mean, Aaron Boone, I can see possibly hot seat. Maybe Terry Francona in Cleveland.
How would he be on the hot seat? Like they just won the division.
I know they just won the division, but I maybe Francona doesn't get fired. Maybe he retires after next season. Cause I know he's hinted at possibly retiring over the last couple of seasons. So maybe he's hinting at retirement coming into after next season. We'll see how he does after this season. Because I mean, managing is stressful. There's a lot of pressure on you just to to produce a winner on the field. You're managing 26 players. And you got a lot of moving parts in the game that you as a fan don't see. So
I will give you mine once I figure out who the fuck it is. I mean, once I figure out what his name is, because I'm totally drawing a blank right now. Craig Counsell.
Greg Counsell, ooh, that's a good one because I mean he's taken the Brewers to I want to say 4 straight playoff appearances up until this past season. Got him to the LCS, I believe, in 2018 before they fell to the Dodgers. They were because they were 1 win away from the World Series back in 2018, and then kind of collapsed after that. So yeah, I can see Craig Counsell being on the hot seat for the Brewers.
There was rumors earlier in the year that he had lost the locker room.
I remember hearing that.
But we'll see. We'll see. So lots of managers, or all the manager spots are filled. White Sox pulling from the Royals. I tweeted at you jokingly that Royals were not winners last year, but I don't know anything about Pedro Grifol. He's a former Met, so he must be a winner. So congrats on the hire. No, I'm joking. I have zero idea who either of these guys are or what their managerial style will be. I think it's hard to figure that stuff out before you get a few years under a team's belt or under a guy's belt. So we'll see how both these fellas do in the AL Central. Other than that, what else is going on around the world of baseball? Is there a big series going on?
I'm not sure if we'll call it a big series, but we have a little thing called the World Series that is now underway. And
World sounds pretty big. I mean, I guess it's not the Universe Series.
No, not the Universe Series, but it is the World Series. The National League champion Philadelphia Phillies are taking on the American League champion Houston Astros. Astros have won their 4th pennant in 6 years. Phillies are making their first trip back to the Fall Classic since 2009. How about we do a little bit of recapping?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's start with Game 1. Game 1, you got I say it's an instant classic. You go extra innings in Game 1 just to kick off the series. Phillies defeat the Astros 6-5 in 10 innings. Dominic gets your victory as to go 2-0 in the playoffs. Garcia takes a loss as 1-1. David Robertson, of all players, gets the save. He gets his first save of the postseason. The big story from this game is the Astros had a 5-0 lead off of 2 Kyle Tucker home runs. He had a solo home run in the bottom of the 2nd. Then he had a 3-run shot in the 3rd to give the Astros a 5-0 lead. And then Verlander just comes out and blows it again in the World Series. Verlander, interesting stat here, remains winless in the World Series. His ERA is the highest amongst pitchers with at least 30 innings pitched in the World Series. Verlander has a 6.07 ERA in the World Series. Next is Eckerson at a 5.83, Sun at 5.26, Nolan at 4.96, and Leiter, at 4.95. So not great company to be a part of when you have the highest ERA in World Series play.
Yeah, how much do you put that on Verlander, and how much do you put on Baker for not pulling him?
I kind of throw more towards Dusty Baker for not pulling him. I mean, at that point, you got to find nothing lead. And if you felt like Verlander's throwing enough pitches during that game, I would have pulled him and gone right to your bullpen, kind of brought in a couple middle relievers just to get through those sixth, seventh inning, and then hit up your closing pitchers at the end.
I mean, most of the runs got scored in the fourth. Houston scored 2 in the second, 3 in the third, and then the Phillies scored 3 in the fourth and 2 in the fifth to tie it up. I remember I was in Arizona watching this game, and we were out to dinner, and it was like just I didn't catch it until it was 5-5, and both teams couldn't get anything going, and then got back to the house and saw. No, actually, we were still at the restaurant when what's his name? Is it Real Muto hit the home run?
Yeah, JT Real Muto hit the go-ahead home run in 10th because we were out watching some of my wife's students at her school were doing a high school play of Puff's Harry Potter spoof play, so we went out and saw that Friday night. So we got home just in time for the end of the game during that time when he hit the go-ahead home run and gave Philly the 6-5 victory, gives them the 1-0 series lead. Any other takeaways from game one?
Not really, other than Verlander should have been pulled sooner. Aaron Nola pitched a gem. I mean, I know he gave up 5 runs, but I think after those first 3 innings, he was solid for 3 more or 2 more. Nope. Yeah, he pitched 4 innings. I mean, well, maybe he wasn't that solid, but still. Phillies pull it out 6-5 in extra. So that's fantastic opening to the World Series, like you said. Game 2, the Astros won 5-2. Came out hot again. Scored 3 in the first, 2 in the fifth. Phillies got 1 in the 7th and 1 in the 9th. Never really threatened. Doubles by Altuve, Pena, and Alvarez off of Zach Wheeler. Home run by Bregman. RBIs by Alvarez, Bregman, and Pena. They just look solid. Framber Valdez with 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned, and 3 walks, striking out 9. Wheeler goes 5, gives up 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them earned. Walks 3, only strikes out 3. Not the best outing for King Zach, but like we talked about, man, the first 3 of these Astros pitchers are electric and elite. Verlander, for getting rocked in that 3rd inning, is still really good. Framber Valdez is fantastic. Christian Javier is having a fantastic game 3 or game 4. So.
Yeah, and I look at the top 3 of the Astros lineup: Altuve, Pena, and Alvarez. The Astros end up with 7 hits. Just the first 3 hitters collected 5 of those 7 hits. I mean, they each scored at least once. Pena and Alvarez each have an RBI. Pena did strike out twice. Struck out once along with Alvarez, but Altuve went 3 for 4 in that game. So when he gets on, he has a couple of hits, it's always good news for the Astros because I think they're just going to ride what Altuve's doing throughout the game, depending on if he's hot or if he's not really hitting the ball.
Yeah, and for all the positives he's had in the playoffs, Harper did leave 5 on base during this game. Real Muto left 4 on base, so RBI opportunities were there. I can't remember exactly how that broke down, if they were in scoring position or not, but yeah, this game was pretty much all Houston. Yes, Phillies scored 2 runs, left 7 on base, only had 6 total hits. But game 3 was a totally different story.
Yeah, and then a quick thing for game 2, the Phillies went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position for game 2. Game 3, unfortunately, we had to wait a couple days because the original game was rained out. Was supposed to be on Halloween. Weather was not cooperative, so they pushed the game back, which pushes the entire series back a day. So instead of being in potential game 5 today, we were in game 4. But the Phillies just come out and shut out the Astros, and the Astros pretty much their offense goes silent for this game. Astros lose 7-0. Suarez gets the victory again. McCullers takes the loss. Astros offense goes 5 for 32 with 7 Ks, 3 walks. 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. They leave 8 on. The Phillies offense, you had homers by Harper, Bowen, Marsh, Schwarber, and Hoskins, each with a homer. They had a 4-0 lead in the second, and 3 more in the fifth, and it's kind of cruised to a 7-0 victory after that. Kind of a big, I would say a statement game for Philadelphia, being the first World Series game at home since 2009. It was a great way to come out to a packed house in Philly. You know they're going to be just booing the Astros like
relentless.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Philly fans are relentless. They throw snowballs at Santa. So
batteries at their own players.
Yeah, they throw batteries at their own players. Philadelphia does not have a good history with snowballs or batteries at either Santa or players.
History or city of brotherly love.
Exactly.
They say lies.
Exactly.
But they do have good cheesesteaks, and yeah. So, 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. That's kind of funny because he only had 3 runners in scoring positions, 8 left on base. That means 5 more were left on first, which isn't really that big of a deal. Was it Schwarber, Hoskins went back to back with their home runs. Schwarber's was a dead center shot. That guy could just hit.
Oh yeah, and
out of the ball.
And as soon as he hit, the thing went absolutely crazy because they knew it was gone as soon as he left the bat.
Yeah, he's a monster. Did you happen to see, Adam, that Lance McCullers was there was a piece written by somebody saying that he was tipping pitches?
Yeah, I did see that. I think it was either an article by The Athletic or MLB.com said was McCullers tipping his pitches. I went back and watched some of the highlights. It's hard to tell if he was tipping his pitches, but you could go either way saying, yeah, he was tipping his pitches. He was giving away what he was throwing next, and that just made it easier for Philadelphia to jump all over him. It's hard to tell as a pitcher if you're tipping your pitchers or not. It really is. You have to be obviously giving it away just to be blatant obvious, but it was hard to tell if he was or not, in all honesty.
Yeah, and I don't know I don't know necessarily what to look for, but these guys that are professional hitters, they're seeing every pitch and they're going up to their teammates and telling them, hey, this guy is, if he's doing this before he throws, he's doing this, or if his motion looks like this, it's doing this, or whatever. All these guys talk even in between at bats, like, hey, fastball's jumping, so it'll get 80% of the way to the plate, and then it'll just come at you. Or, hey, look for the break on this arm slot or whatever. So if he was tipping pitches, it was broadcast all over the Phillies dugout because they just hammered McCullers, and they just left him out there to die because they need the bullpen for the rest of the series. So Ranger Suarez, we talked about this towards the end of the year. He was very, very good. Had an awesome last, say, 5-6 starts in the regular season, has been good throughout the playoffs. So, another solid win by this Phillies team. I mean, yeah, Yeah, well, we'll see. Like it's we got the game going right now. If you're watching on YouTube and seeing me look up away from the computer, it's because I'm watching the game. But it's a pretty good World Series so far, I'd say.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Astros box score from Game 3, and we said that the top three for the Astros, if they hit, it's a good day for the Astros. Game 3, not really a good day. 1 for 11. Altuve left 2 on base. Alvarez struck out 1, left 2 on base. Altuve, for good, everyone says as good as a World Series player he is, he's only hitting 156 in the series right now. So he is kind of underperforming at the plate right now in the World Series. He's kind of dropped off and gone cold. Your best Astros hitter is Gurriela, who's hitting 333. But Alvarez is only hitting – Alvarez is only hitting 200. Bergman's only hitting 293. Tucker's only 225. So for most of the time when we've been talking about the Astros offense, the Phillies have found a way to cool them off at the right time, unfortunately, for Astros.
Yeah, other than Game 2, where Altuve went 3 for 4, he is 1 for 9 in the other games. So he like you said, Adam, hitting 156. He's the table setter, right? Top of the lineup. And Alvarez really isn't hitting well either at 200. These guys aren't getting the pop that they typically do that have won them a lot of games. And I think we've talked about this a little bit. There have been times throughout the season where Houston just draws dead. They're just not getting the home runs that they normally get. They're just not the offense just isn't clicking. So like I said, good game going right now. Still 0-0. Javier's pitching fantastic. Nola pitched himself out of a jam in the second inning. Javier's walked a couple, but yeah, still 0-0.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a good pitching matchup. Nola has struck out 4, has given up 4 hits. So the Astros have gotten a couple hits off of him. Phillies bats have pretty much been silent right now. Javier's through 3 innings, walked 2, but struck out 4 as well. So good pitching duel going on right now in Game 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, they just showed. This is one of my favorite things that a broadcast will do is when they'll show a pitcher and he's doing his delivery, and then they'll show his exact arm slot and then 2 different pitches that come out of it. So they just did Javier's sinker and 4-seam, and it comes out of the exact same arm slot, does 2 completely different things. And I don't know how any of these guys hit these pitchers, man.
I mean, hell, they are professionals, so I mean,
yeah, and they're still only succeeding at a whopping Harper's 382 for the series. The next closest was like Real Muto at 245. So they're still under 50% of the time, under 40% of the time, and that's considered good. So yeah, it's a good game 4 so far. Adam, how you feeling about this series? What do you think's gonna? You think the Astros can get this turned around? Do you think if the Phillies win, the Astros are cooked? What's your kind of prediction for the next 4 games?
Hard to tell. I mean, Philly has gone into this series red hot, in my opinion. They've been, for as much as we gave the crap as we gave the Phillies all year long, like, will they get this right? They fired Joe Girardi so early in the season, and we talked about, like, you said I called it. He'd probably be the first to go, and yeah, he was the first manager to go. Hard to tell if they'll get that going. I think Philadelphia has a good momentum going into this World Series right now. I think that they got hot at the right time. I mean, they kind of surprised us in the wild card series by just coming back and absolutely annihilating the Cardinals in the wild card series. They pretty much demolished the defending champs in the division series. They pretty much manhandled them, in my opinion, in that 4-game series. And then they go in and take care of San Diego, who just got over that momentum of knocking off LA, the 111 win team.
Mm-hmm.
So they go into the NLCS, in my opinion, as the underdog against the Padres, because the Padres are riding high after that series. So,
well, they were the 6th seed, correct?
Yeah, the Padres were the 6th seed.
Oh, the Padres were the 6th seed. I thought the Phillies were the 6th seed.
The Phillies were the 6th seed,
and the Padres were the 5th seed, right? So they had the home. So yeah, I mean, be the bottom seed and to win the World Series, or to be in the World Series against a 1 seed, no less, which is funny, and have a 2-1 advantage currently, and be playing really well. And you're right, they're hot. For this specific game, we're gonna see which pitcher has to leave first. Right now, Javier is just looking absolutely electric. Just struck out Bryce Harper, but the Astros, didn't really go to their bullpen yesterday, with McCullers getting just cooked left and right. So they had Urquidy come in and pitch some, but Philly didn't have to go to their bullpen hardly at all yesterday. So they still have, Elfline as a long reliever. They still have Sir Anthony Dominguez and others. Robertson, I think, can pitch again to bring in. So if Philly can get a lead here, I think they could win this game. But it's anybody's ball game at this point. Obviously, still being zip.
Yeah, and I wonder if Philly is relying more on the long ball, because they have hit a lot of home runs in this series. I think they've hit a total of 6, if I'm counting that correctly. So I'm not sure if they're just relying more on the long ball, if they're going more with situational hitting and just trying to get runners on, move them over.
They're stealing bases, which is interesting. They've stole 2 bases in the last 3 innings. So I've seen Harper steal a base, and I saw somebody else just take a base, which is aggressive and different than they've been doing in the series. So they're doing a bit of both in relying on the long ball and trying to get runners along. I didn't see any sacrifices happening after they got to second to move the runner over to third, but I can't recall specifically what the situation was with outs and whatnot. But the way Javier's going, it's gonna be tough to break through on this guy. But yeah,
and Javier is just kind of going at Castellanos right now. Currently a 2-2 count, bottom of the 4th with 2 outs. If the Astros can get this game and even up the series, I think this series is then up for grabs. But again, if Philadelphia comes down, takes game 4, goes up 3-1, that's kind of your choke holding series lead right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. We've seen 1 or 2 of those 3-1 comebacks historically, but not very many in the World Series.
Yeah, the only 3-0 comeback only teams that have come back from a 3-0 3-1 are the Red Sox. They did in 04, famously in 04 against the Yankees, coming back from a 3-0 series to win 4-3, and then they did it against the Indians in 2007. They were down 3-1, came back to win the ALCS 4-3 to go on to meet the Rockies in the World Series. So I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there have been.
Yeah, you said the 16 Cubs, right?
Yeah, 16 Cubs came back down from a 3-1.
85 Royals did it.
Okay.
79 Pirates did it. 68 Tigers did it. 58 Yankees and 25 Pirates. Not very many.
Not very many.
No.
Not very many, but it's still a good company to be in if they can somehow. I'm not going to say join that unique list or anything, but still good in my opinion.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, is what it comes down to. Baseball's pretty much the one that happens the most then. NBA Finals, the Cavs did it in 2016 against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup. It doesn't happen in the actual Stanley Cup. It's happened a bunch in the playoffs. Oh, nope. Yeah. So it's only happened like one time in the 42, the Maple Leafs won the cup against the Red Wings. Oh no, wait. Stanley Cup Finals 1 after leading 3-1. Of course they did. I mean, that's kind of a silly stat. I don't know why Wikipedia put some of this shit in here. But yeah, so if Philly goes up, I mean, it still can happen, but like you said, Adam, pretty much a chokehold.
Yeah, anytime you get to that third win in the series, it pretty much puts you on the cups of winning the series, and it puts the other team kind of in the, I'm not going to say panic mode, but just kind of, what can we throw out there just to get a win? So, again, it goes back to, if you're managing, would you rather manage a team come with a 3-1 deficit or manage a team with a 2-2 series tie? Obviously, you go with the 2-2 tie because you're going to manage your bullpen differently. You may leave your starter out for maybe 4-5 innings max, or you may pull him out to 4 innings, go to the bullpen right after that. So it all depends on what happens with this game.
Agreed.
So
right on, man.
There you go. So again, Philly has a 2-1 series lead. We're in game 4, 0-0 tie. We're now in the top of the 5th inning at the time of this recording. So if you are listening to this, obviously the scores can be a little different whenever you hear this podcast. But we bring you live updates as it happens.
Live and in person. Well, Adam, anything else for the folks?
No, again, short show tonight, but I mean, not too much going on. We got the World Series going on. Series should wrap up this weekend. I believe Sunday will be the final day of the series. So next week we'll have our wrap-up show for the World Series. And then we shift into the offseason pretty much starting next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're ready. Houston just got a runner on.
Yep.
Leadoff runner on.
So let's see if Houston can do something with this leadoff runner. So we go from there.
All righty. Well, everybody, you have a great night, and we will see you next week. Take care and enjoy the series.
Have a good night, everyone.